was Dr. Pepper had a big storage place in Brownwood. And they came all the way down by my mother and dad's house. And he'd let me off and pick me up. So when I was coming down, he'd let me off. And when going back to work Monday, or you know, the next week or whatever, he'd pick me up and take me back. So I get to see the folks once in a while that way. And one time it was so cold that Dr. Peppers were working on the highway as we were driving down the highway, that we were freezing.
What'd you do?
Well, he run his truck in the storage house, you know, where they could get. He was getting the drinks out of the cold, he thought. But the next day, he didn't have a dozen bottles of Coke left on that truck. I mean, Dr. Pepper left on that truck. They were all frozen. And it was all over the floor, bottles broken. He said he had a mess.
You still love Dr. Pepper today?
Oh, yeah. Sure do.
So how many semesters did you take at Howard Payne?
Just one.
Just one?
Yeah. Well, then I never did get any more money where I could go. And it's like everything I'd get would just be enough to pay for what I'd already eat. Then when I went down to Uncle Jim's house in Tyler, and I don't remember whether I hitchhiked down there or how I got there to Tyler, but anyway, I got down there. And the first job I helped him with, see, he's a carpenter too. And the first job I saw when I walked up to the house was some chairs that had the wood rounded back, and then the sides came down, arms came out, the bottom in it, and legs on each side. I saw one of those chairs sitting there in some wood. He had so many, a dozen or so of those chairs to put together to make, and he was sawing out the wood, and I was putting them together. And we got them, and they came and picked them up in a truck. And when he got the money, and he started counting out some money to give to me, I said, I've already eat that up. And so every time we have a work job, I'd go and help him do it, you know. And I finally, his son was worked for the city water department, and he was in charge of the digging the ditches at that particular time. So he was hired summer help, and I got a job for $2.50 an hour. Good gracious. That was unheard of almost. We didn't, when we'd get a job at $1, $1.25, or $1.15, 20 cents or something like that. And when I was getting paid by the hour, I mean, that was by the day when you were on the farm, you know. And
Wow.
when I got that job, I thought that was really something. And I could pay Uncle Jim for my meals. And I could send a little home to Mother and Dad. And still have a little bit left in my pocket.
So what was this job? What were you doing?
I was digging ditches.
Nice.
And I'll tell you what, my hands were just about as tough as this when I went and started to work. And 2 days later, I had blisters all over my hands. And I was fortunate. I had one black man on this end. Well, he was Caucasian, you know. He was a white man, but he was black. And he was redheaded.
He was black and so was he
He
mixed?
was a black man, born into a black family, but he just didn't have the pigment
Oh,
for that
and
color,
red hair.
for and red hair. And the other man, Gowan was his name, and he was on the other end of a 10-foot section of dirt. So between the two of them and me, we got through 2 weeks. And then I could go over and get a little bit of dirt off of his side and go get a little off of this side and pay them back. Because they were helping me to stay up. And then that year at the end, Raymond came by and told me that I could work through the winter. That T.Y. Stiles wanted me to work through the winter. And I said, well, his brother-in-law, Lee Wiesner, he had 5 kids, and his wife, and he was going to be laid off. So I told him if he'd tell Mr. Stiles to give Lee the job and give me my check, we'd call it even. And I gave him the job. And you know, he never did thank me for that. He may not have been told that. Because if he had told, if Raymond had told Lee, he might have not have kept it.
Mm-hmm.
See? So, it's just one of those things, but I gave it to him anyway.
So what was college like back, what was it, 1937?
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, we had a teacher in Bible. Have to tell you about him anyway. And I couldn't think of his name right now. But he had been teaching, he was 77 years old when he was teaching Bible to us. And he'd preached for about 30 years or so, and then he got a job teaching in Howard Payne, and he'd been teaching at Howard Payne until after I was there. He was still teaching there for years later, but he had memorized the whole New Testament and probably half of the Old Testament.
The whole thing?
Yeah, just memorized it. And he could tell you if you he'd say, read so-and-so, and if you missed a word, see, we didn't have anything but King James Version. So nobody had a excuse that this wasn't my translation. If you missed a word, he'd tell you. He said, my Bible says so-and-so. You know, and then he'd give it to you.
Wow.
But I took the Harmony of the Gospels there, and that was the first time I'd really ever just sat down and studied the King James Bible like you have to study when you're taking a course.
Mm.
And
Did you like it?
oh, I loved it. I had more fun there with that than any of the other classes. And I passed all my classes though.
What classes did you take?
Oh, goodness, I'd have to start looking at some papers. But I sure remember the Bible.
Yeah. Oh.
Or we